In professional wrestling, hype is everything. After all, what's more important, getting you to buy a ticket or delivering once the ticket's already been bought? Obviously, both are a little important, but if you've watched much or any WWE in the last few years, their answer definitely leans towards one way more than the other, much like someone with a crutch being kicked out from under them leans one way more than the other. Promotions create hype in numerous ways through a compelling storyline, a first-time ever matchup, something huge on the line, and when a match's hype is met, you have an instant classic, icon versus icon, the ultimate challenge, that Snooki one, do you remember? However, with how much WWE turbocharges the pomp and circumstance of WrestleMania, it's almost inevitable that some matches get hyped to the point that all they can do is disappoint. Time for a reality check. I'm Adam hailing from partsFUNknown, and here are 10 WWE WrestleMania matches that didn't live up to hype. Before we continue with the list, we'd just like to thank the sponsor for this week's PFK list, the one, the only...
Raid Shadow Legends!
The unstoppable mobile game juggernaut, and speaking of unstoppable, we need to talk about orcs. Orcs get a bad rap in fantasy because, to be fair, look how they're born, puts you right off your chocolate milkshake, but in Raid, they're not all bad. In fact, some of the orc champions you can now play in are downright deadly, from Grohak the Bloodied, who looks like he'd be fun at parties, to Robar, who just wants to talk to you about this book club he's setting up. Personal favourite, Golmok Skyhued, who uses antlers in all of his decorating. These are in addition to the more than 300 champions already part of
Raid Shadow Legends!
Which means that no matter what manner of combat you favor, there's a fantastic option to sate your devilish desires for destruction. Meat's back on the menu, boys. This is the best time to get started in Raid, and if you click our link in the description or scan our QR code here on the screen, you'll get unique bonuses worth $30. We're talking a free epic champion, Tyrell, 200k silver, 1 energy refill and 1 XP boost, and 1 ancient shard so you can summon awesome champions as soon as you get in game. Orc that orc. Number 10, Matt Hardy versus Jeff Hardy, WrestleMania 25. That deletion thing, do you remember, was the first time ever that Matt Hardy wrestled Jeff Hardy and it was good. Think about what that means. The match with the lawnmowers and the fireworks and the boat meme was better than the two men in their prime having an anything goes match at WrestleMania. Their feud was everything WWE loves to do, especially when it's off its meds. Brother versus brother, including one brother killing one of the other brothers' dogs, both of them known for their risk-taking and acts of daring do, culminating in an Extreme Rules match. How was it bad? Well, first of all, Matt won, which was the silly choice. Second, the match didn't really seem to have a beating heart. It was more just a slow procession of admittedly decent weapon spots, although that double table spot is very stupid indeed, without that moment of story that such a personal feud needs to elevate it. Number 9, Edge versus Randy Orton, WrestleMania 36. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes more is more, and sometimes more is two lads wandering around a gym in the world's least interesting found footage movie. For realsies, the best story going into WrestleMania 36 was Edge versus Randy Orton. Edge had just returned and we still didn't know if he could go. Orton had not only attacked Edge, but also everyone he ever loved, and also Matt Hardy. Orton was cutting the promos of his career, and then, I'm sorry, but it was just so boring. It was a last man standing match, which are so disjointed and stop-starty that they're hard to get right anyway. And then there were, what, 4 spots in over 30 minutes? The opening RKO, Edge doing the swinging, hey, look at my dick in the gym, the table spot backstage, and the stuff on the van. Genuinely, am I missing anything? 37 minutes. Hell. Number 8, Triple H versus Randy Orton, WrestleMania 25. Hello, Randall. Awfully nice to see you again. Does anyone do great promo shame about the match better than middle name Keith? Well, maybe Triple H, to be honest. So here they are together. Honestly, this really should have worked. Again, like the last entry, there was a bonkers good feud. Orton kicking Vince, DDTing Stephanie, the hilarious home invasion angle. Like, in terms of temperature, feuds don't really get more boiling point than this. By rights, the two should have exploded in a crescendo of violence, but the match ended up falling flatter than my washboard abs for 2 reasons. The first wasn't WWE's fault exactly. Taker HBK was just unfollowably good. Bad luck, everyone else. The second was WWE's fault. Instead of giving the match a vicious stipulation to match the heat of the feud, instead Triple H would lose the title if he got disqualified? What? I mean, you can kind of see what WWE was going for. 2 smart wrestlers having to have a chess match rather than a blood war, but that wasn't what the viewer had been sold in the build-up at all. Number 7, Triple H versus Batista, WrestleMania 21. Hello, Triple H. Nice to see you again. Honestly, Big Trips has 3 things that he really loves. Denim, the works of Gustav Klimt, and having underwhelming matches against Evolution dudes at WrestleMania. Mania 24, 25, 35. But perhaps the most disappointing is Mania 21. All in all, a very good WrestleMania. Angle HBK is an all-timer. The first Money in the Bank match. Lots of good stuff. However, the 2 title matches meant to usher in the new era of top guys for the Ruthless Aggression era both kinda sucked. Cena JBL only went about 10 minutes, was weirdly booked to end without much build-up. The main event, however, was supposed to be the big one, a huge culmination of a Batista face turn that had, up until that point, been booked to perfection. Sadly, the big title change is just a bit dull. Like, can you remember a single moment from the match? Like, one. I mean, yes, it was 15 years ago, but still, it just didn't click. Number 6, Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant 2, WrestleMania 4. I was tempted to put the main event of WrestleMania 3 on this list, partly just for shit and gigs, and also because the actual match resembled 2 snowmen very slowly falling over each other over the course of an entire winter. Still, at least they got that moment from it, and the crowd seemed to like it, idiots. Their rematch at WrestleMania 4, though, whoa, you know, the entire selling point of the WWF Championship Tournament was a giant load of poops and butts. After a mere 5 minutes, it ends in a double DQ as a sloppily booked way to remove both favorites from the tournament in a giant you to the people who paid to see the Mania 3 rematch. It didn't even make sense. Hogan hit Andre with the chair first. That is a single DQ. Hogan should have been disqualified and Andre should have advanced. A stupid load of old, slow-ass bullshit. And as bad as sequels can get outside of the Cars franchise. Number 5, Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon, WrestleMania 26. I mean, maybe we shouldn't have expected anything out of Grandpa Mania. Bret had spent a full decade away from the ring, and Vince has been more of a f***ing basket case than an athlete on the best of days, but Hot Sauce Tuesday weren't nobody expecting the match to be this dreadful. Like, it's a storyline match. We get that. Vince has done a couple of great ones of those. The final conclusive payoff to the Montreal screwjob, the worst case of hurt feelings the wrestling world has ever seen. Bret kicks Vince to death, slaps in the sharpshooter, home in time for tea and cakes. It writes itself. Instead, and honestly reading this back, I still can't believe they did it, Vince paid off the Hart family to screw Bret one last time, thinking that his loved ones would sell him out for $1. Well, I mean, Bruce definitely would. Then the idea was revealed to be a idea over the course of 11 teeth-grindingly boring minutes as Bret very slowly killed Vince. And how'd you get a simple payoff so wrong? Number 4, Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose, WrestleMania 32. One of the most famously disappointing matches of all time. Not the worst match, not a dumpster fire, just a nothing that really should have been a something. Circa 2016, everyone was super hot on Dean Ambrose. In Seth's absence and with the Roman experiment still tanking, hell, everyone would have preferred to have Dean in the main event instead of the big dog. With fan sentiment behind him, when it was announced that someone explicitly nicknamed a lunatic was facing off against Lesnar in a street fight, everyone got excited. Then hardcore legends started to line up to bequeath weaponry to Dean, like strange grandpas handing down their vaguely racial erotica to their unwilling grandson, saying to him, "You'll know what to do with this." And then in the match itself, precisely, nothing was done with any of it. Jesus Christ, Suplex City, some chair stuff, and then back to catering to eat an entire deer antlers first. Ambrose didn't look anywhere near Brock's equal. It was a waste of everybody's time. Number 3, Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch, WrestleMania 35. I'm sorry. I am sorry. It's just... yeah, the first time ever that women main evented a WrestleMania, and it just wasn't as good as the moment surely deserved. I mean, to be fair to the 3 performers, after over 6 hours of WrestleMania, Tupac Shakur could have ridden Secretariat into the stadium and people would still only have given half of a shit. Couple that with the fact the storyline for which directly mirrored Daniel Bryan's rise to WrestleMania 30, a crowd-chosen underdog who forced their way into a triple threat for 2 belts, despite the McMahon's best wishes, didn't reach anywhere near the heights of that previous match. Daniel Bryan made Batista conclusively tap out. Becky Lynch caught Ronda in a botched crucifix pin. One of these things is not as good as the other. Don't get us wrong, a lovely post-match moment and still something to be celebrated, just could have been so much better. Number 2, AJ AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura, WrestleMania 34. The poster boy of sure wish that had been better. When Shinsuke Nakamura won the Royal Rumble and picked AJ Styles as his opponent for WrestleMania, Corey Graves marked out like the good little New Japan World subscriber that I'm sure he is. We're going to see the dream match, WWE announced as the world went giddy at the prospect of seeing Styles and Nakamura doing something even close to their instant classic from Wrestle Kingdom 10. Sadly, the curse of long mania struck again. By the time the two men locked up, 11 entire matches had gone by. And you know what? It's not just the schedule's fault either. This isn't that good a match. It's 20 minutes long, but the match never reaches its crucial third act. 20 minutes of setup without that final 5 minutes of dramatic big moves, payoffs of established things, and frantic kickouts. It feels like it might potentially be getting somewhere, and then it just ends as the fans wipe sleep from their eyes, nudge their neighbor, and whisper, "Was that it?" It's heartbreaking. And number 1, Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar, WrestleMania 20. Lol. I mean, I tell you, in 2004, I did not know anything about WWE contracts, the NFL, or the Madison Square Garden crowd. And as a young lad, I was very confused indeed as to why this objectively very exciting matchup between two unstoppable badasses sucks so long, so hard, and so thoroughly. Ty, love your sex tape. It was hyped to the heavens, and fans were really into it until it came out via those damn dirt sheets that after Mania 20, both Lesnar and Goldberg would be gone from the company. Brock to try his best as part of the fake sport football with the Minnesota Vikings, and Goldberg to go wherever it is he goes whenever he's not on our television screens. I think it's the Phantom Zone. The crowd sandbagged the match, and neither Lesnar nor Goldberg seemed to care all that much about winning them over, turning out a meandering, passive-aggressive slog of a match, which should have been what happens when a hurricane meets a tornado. Bizarrely, we would have to wait 13 years to eventually see that. And that's our list. What do you think is the most underwhelming match in WrestleMania history? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and share this video around if you enjoyed it, and make sure you subscribe to partsFUNknown for more silly wrestling content. Jam that jam.